Right, hello you lovely lot. In this video we're going to be going over Spider-Man 2099. Spotlight overview, you can check him out on the forums. You've seen him in a deep dive and that's what we're going to do in this video. So we'll talk a little bit about the stuff that's on the deep dive, on the information there, and also compare him off against a few things, talk about his abilities, what's good, what's bad about him. My major feeling around this champion this month is he's going to be overshadowed by Penny Parker, but there are some very unique things, and I think this is like the second time ever we've had a champion that doesn't gain buffs. And this for me is one of those added extra charms because I absolutely enjoy Red Guardian. There's a lot of content where getting a buff can be really annoying, but even this month or last month when it came to Summer of Pain, there's been some interactions where this champion has been great. But it would be good to have another option that has equal amount of damage potential or goes a little bit further than that. It's also good to see the champion, a champion coming in that's getting the Rupture debuff. For a lot of you that don't know, Rupture has been a fairly new thing to enter, especially in the last 12 months. But as well, there's a new debuff this champion gets, which is Wither. So Spider-Man 2099's light and medium attacks inflict Rupture on the opponent, and those Raptures explode and burst of damage. Then the opponent gains a bar of power. Additionally, his special attack 2 inflicts a burst of damage for every unique debuff on the opponent. When he gains a buff, he pauses his personal debuffs on the opponent for a few seconds. As a result, he can stack many debuffs on the opponent and use dexterity to trigger a buff to pause his debuffs. This means he can keep his debuffs paused until he reaches SP2, which does make me think that, well, it's kind of very similar to Red Guardian, so that's a little bit disappointing if they're kind of playing into that. But you know, let's read on, let's see what other things the champion has got which is unique. Let's now go over the ability. Spider-Man 2099 cannot gain buffs whenever you would gain a buff. Instead, he pauses the personal debuffs for 5 seconds, handy against certain very specific nodes that kind of say you have to get a buff during a certain time because your interaction is going to be very different. But there is going to be this very much, I'd say, strong pull for this champion to be on defense. While dodging backwards, Spider-Man 2099 is not struck by attacks. Dodging an attack this way triggers his debuff pausing ability. That can be annoying. Again, 75% chance damage resistance, 75% damage resistance if the opponent is under the effect of True Strike, or if he hits, it deals true damage. So that's something to point out. But I would say that the non-buff ability, and as well some of the other interactions mean this is going to be very handy. I think there's going to be a lot of utility around this champion. It's going to be questionable about its damage, which is going to be more to do with the debuff side of things and the volume of those debuffs. Kind of annoying if champions shrug them off. And do look out for content that this champion will be very good against, like Ultron's Assault Variant 1. This is going to be a great option for that, especially having a science champion to take on things and not get buffs, because a lot of the time gaining buffs is going to cause a whole lot of problems. Now, where does all this damage come from? Well, Ruptures, 20 stacks, light and medium attacks have a 25% chance to inflict Rupture, dealing X amount of physical damage over 10 seconds, 100% chance to inflict Rupture on block if the opponent is suffering from a Wither debuff. Timing, I think, is going to be essential for this, especially in order to keep up the amount of damage possible. And as Kabam say here, striking into the block of an opponent suffering from Wither debuff is most reliable way to inflict lots of Ruptures. Mikei's notes, so that's Kabam Mikei. This is the first time we've seen the Wither debuff as part of the champion kit. It reduces ability, power, rate, and Spider-Man 2099's got a very strong one. Excellent. I mean, that potency of that Wither debuff can be seen on screen right now. You can see it, all of a sudden it's just it's on screen and is literally just depleting quite extensively. You got physical vulnerability there, so you got all these massive debuffs, and as well hitting into the block is building them up very, very nicely, which is amazing. So you can see a real potency here with debuffs being the way to go to suppress not just power but also the doing great damage. Now, a lot through the deep dive you'll see things like resistance up, and this is going to be good again, similar with Penny Parker and as well Spider-Man 2099. The ability to suppress things of damage coming in is going to be vitally important for certain players for various different reasons. So when it says here resistance up, max 100 stacks, when attacked there's 100% chance to gain indefinite resistance up passive increasing physical resistance by 87.5 and energy resistance by 56.06. Interrupting Spider-Man 2099 while he is charging. Heavy attack removes all resistance up stacks. If at least 20 stacks were removed this way, he inflicts a withered debuff, reducing ability accuracy, ability power rate by 150% for 20 seconds. And when he pauses all personal debuffs, he consumes 5 stacks of resistance stuff, increasing the pause, etc., etc. I think this champion is going to be more of a big use for things like Alliance Wars. Alliance Wars defense. I see a lot of this champion being very, very tricky and frustrating, more so with the resistance, and also more so with some of the other different types of debuffs the champion has, depending on what he applies at one given time. So yeah, and also the dodging and the fact that having a slow debuff firing champion may not be as helpful because the champion won't technically evade all decks. It will kind of like do other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to see like a whole lot of stuff about this champion further down the line. Now my biggest concern was, how does one build up the resistance? Because building up resistance means you can extend or pause the extent of your debuffs, and it's special attacks that allow you to build up those resistances to then rotate them around to then pause or kind of continue the debuffs on the enemy. And we're showing on screen right now that in play from a point of like how that's rotated round. So that seems to be one of the best ways to then put these things on the enemy, put debuffs on the enemy, and also kind of rotate around and keep them on. Whether or not you go SP1, then you go SP3, then you go SP1 and then SP2, or SP1, SP3, SP2, and that's how you rotate around, which is on screen right now. That seems to be the best method of play. So I really thought there'd be like a huge undermining of this champion, but it looks like he does relatively good damage. I just think that in the comparisons, Penny Parker ends up doing that like extra bit of spice on damage that is kind of like edging this champion. But this champion has a little bit more when it comes to utility. Of the SP3, he's got a slow debuff. He has various other debuffs that suppress enemy champions and interact with doing more damage as basically throwing those specials. And as I said, like it seems to be, throw an SP1, throw an SP3, finish off with an SP2, and try and sustain those resistant up passives in order to keep up the pressure, keep up the damage. Maximum pressure. That's weird, just said that. But yeah, it seems to be that that's the name of the game with it. And yeah, I just think that this champion does look good, will have specific types of usages, and will be incredibly fun. I mean, look at this month. Like, you could have really used this champion against Symbiote Supreme as an option, and as well as many other kind of Summer of Pain options as well. So it's been really nice to see. And then finally, let's just touch on like things with signature ability. Against a champion as a power gain, Spider-Man 29 can invert their power gain with Wither, hit them until they gain a bar of power, let the reverse power gain bring their power down, then hit them back to a bar of power. This will allow you to trigger a lot more bursts of damage with Rupture than it would normally be possible, and that's with the signature ability. And I just think that's it. If you want extra utility, potency, then yeah, kind of go look for the Awakened ability. I don't know if I would overly go for that, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, it could be really helpful. There's also some really interesting synergies to look out for, more so I think with symbiote problems, which is that SP3 with Spider-Man 2099 inflicts a poison debuff. Venom on heavy attack gain an aptitude buff, increasing. That is massive for Venom, in my personal opinion. There, I think that's going to be massive for damage potential. And then you got Carnage, unblockable specials gain 25% increased attack rating. Again, very helpful. And I've got a few things the other side. Spider-Man 2029, second medium attack has 25% chance to trigger a debuff pausing ability. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good for the champion. And that is with Iron Man Scarlet Witch Classic. Scarlet Witch Classic, oh my bae. When granting a buff on herself, gain 50% of a bar of power over 3 seconds. Ooh, that's quite nice. If it's very iffy. SP2 rotations could be very potent, so that's not too bad. Iron Man, that's the OG heavy attack with the power drain. It's alright, but you know, it's Iron Man. There's nothing really going for Iron Man. And then you finally Co-Workers, which is Spider-Man 29 gains a 85 critical rating per unique debuff from the opponent. Oh, that could be good. That could be really good. And then you've got as well Longshot. When Longshot nullifies a regeneration buff, gains a regeneration buff healing. Psylocke attacking an opponent with 0 power reduces their. It's alright. Sabertooth blocking an attack has 10% chance to grant a regeneration passive. Oh, that's nice as well. There's some nice synergies I'd like to check out with this. So yeah, expect some videos very, very soon on this. I think we at CTP are able to produce videos on Thursday, so expect some coverage. I am looking forward to putting a load of synergy videos out at the weekend, so look out for them. And that's really been the video. Spiderman 2099 does look good. There's some decent potency there with those debuffs, and rotations look fine. Building around the SP1, SP3, SP2 rotation and trying to keep up those huge amounts of damage, those bursts, those ruptures or whatever, seems to be cool, as well as the power gain suppression. Not having a buff and the dodge as opposed to like dexterity does really entice me with this champion. I am interested in this one and Penny Parker this month. So yeah, it's good to see two solid champions I'm interested in, as opposed to the last few months, actually a good chunk of this year, where I just felt they've just been meh. But yeah, really excited about this, looking forward to this. What are your thoughts? Put it in the comment section down below. And this might be my last video of the day. If not, there may be a news update on the Nexus Cavalier situation. If not, I will be live streaming tonight. Some Cavalier difficulties, I've got to finish that off. And yeah, see you tomorrow for some more videos. Much love, good night, God bless, bye.